Hey gang, Ronan here. As you can see in this game, we've got Dutch Tiger playing the Tier 8 Pan-European destroyer Öland. This is a really fun ship to play, and well, Dutch Tiger really plays this ship well. Matchmaking, well, not great, not horrible. Akazuki is, well, that's a tough nut to crack when you're playing an Öland. You've got the two turrets. It's not a whole lot of guns. Your reload is nice. I mean, you can see there it's 2.4 base seconds on the reload. But Akazuki has a lot of guns, and they hit really hard. So really, I think what it would come down to, if facing off with the Akazuki, is how well the Akazuki can aim and how well Dutch Tiger does with his angling to kind of present the smallest possible profile. Now, I happen to know that he's very good at that. So, it's possible he could fare well against Akazuki. But I'm going to be hoping as we watch this that he doesn't have to square off with Akazuki. Kid is also a pretty decent gunboat. The torpedoes on the Kid are nowhere near as fast. And the Öland, while the torpedoes in the Öland don't do a lot of damage, they are enough to finish off a Kid. And, of course, there's an Öland on the other team as well. So this looks like it's going to shape up to be a pretty interesting battle, just based on the matchmaking that I'm seeing. Now, I happen to know that Dutch Tiger, and if you've seen videos on this YouTube page before, you have seen Dutch Tiger featured, although his game name at that time was Habit Tiger. Now, a little information on the Öland, if you're not familiar. It's, as I mentioned, very fun, and you can spec it for AA, which I believe is what Dutch Tiger has done. The guns, you've got 2 turrets, 2 barrels on each turret for 4 guns. And they have firing range of just over 9 kilometers, 90 meters max dispersion, which is, they're accurate. Maximum HE shell damage of 1700 with a 7% fire chance, and maximum AP damage of 2150. Now the torpedoes, you've got 2 racks, 3 per rack, so a total of 6 torpedoes you can throw out in the water at any given time, with a reload of 59 seconds base. And they're not going to do a lot of damage. 7,533 is the max damage for these torpedoes, but they move at 76 knots base with a 12-kilometer range, so they can be very effective. And in tandem with the guns, the ship can do a lot of damage over time. You can land a torpedo, not do very much damage, especially against a big battleship that has a torpedo belt. But you might cause a flood, and if you cause a flood, then it's a question of can you start a fire. Also, because if you're unfamiliar, because then your fire would burn for a long time, because almost always a battleship that begins to flood is going to use their damage control. And since they have a cooldown on the damage control, if they begin to flood, hey, there's the Akazuki. If they begin to flood again, or they start to burn, they're going to burn or flood for a long time. And the reload on these torpedoes being so fast, you can actually take advantage of that with just the torpedoes. Now, Dutch Tiger wisely does not open up on the Akazuki. And I say wisely because he's got an Amalfi. He's got a Massachusetts. The secondaries on the Massachusetts alone could do tremendous damage before Dutch Tiger could get away. Looks like we're going to land 1 there. Nicely done. Now, if you were watching the minimap at all, you saw the Shimanto move right up into the B cap, and there's another torpedo that landed home on the Amalfi. Just about has the cap. He's probably going to take off here as soon as it yep, he's got it, and he is going to beat feet and get out of there, and I think that's a really good idea. Now you'll notice that Dutch Tiger has his AA turned off. Now he could easily shoot down that aircraft, right? But why would he? As soon as he opens up on that, he's going to become visible to everybody and take massive damage. Now, you'll notice that he threw the torpedoes out ahead of the Massachusetts, and he threw them at the corner of the island for the Amalfi. Now, why did he do that? Well, if he had used the indicator there, he almost certainly would have missed the torpedoes, because the Amalfi, he wasn't going to come around that corner face to face with the flounder, but he might have gone nose in at the corner of the island. I think that was a good call. There's also a salmon out there, and if the salmon pops its head up in order to take a look around, maybe he eats a torpedo to the face. Now, Shimanto and salmon both down for the good guys. This is an uphill battle at this point. Now the good guys have 2 caps. The Lightning, the enemy Öland takes out the friendly Benson. Good guys are now down 3 ships. This is really turning south quickly. But the good guys do have 2 caps. Lightning picked up the Bravo cap, and our hero, Dutch Tiger, has picked up the Charlie cap. Now there's the salmon. And we have to hope the Flounder's airborne depth charges can help finish him off. We'll see. North Carolina blaps the Öland. Some big damage on the salmon. And is Dutch Tiger going to go over there and help with the salmon, or is he going to continue to focus on trying to land torpedoes on these battleships? I'm a little surprised, actually, that we haven't seen the Akazuki's guns just lighting up. Enemy Öland having a good game. Took out the friendly's Bismarck. Salmon lands torpedoes on the red salmon and finishes him off. That's really good. That opens up this corner a little bit more. And hopefully the friendly salmon can continue to land torpedoes on these battleships. Now, the one bad thing about having the salmon right there is that very often if you have 2 torpedo slingers, which in this case you do, we got Dutch Tiger and the salmon, if they see the torpedoes from one, they're going to change course and speed almost instantly. And when they do that, if both of these players have thrown torpedoes out, one or the other or both are going to miss. Now there's the Akazuki lighting things up. A little late, but Dutch Tiger trying to get some damage on Akazuki. But you can see with 23,000 HP, it has a big advantage in a gunfight. And Dutch Tiger trying to avoid going nose into the island here. Takes a little bit of damage. I think those must have been from the Amalfi. And he's going to use his speed boost to get out of the line of sight. Before he does that, he's going to try and get some fire started. I think he'll outrun these shots from the Amalfi. And a big smack on the Massachusetts. And Dutch Tiger, contrary to what I thought, looks like he's going to open up again. Now, North Carolina doesn't have sight because he's out of range, but he's liable to get spotted. He's trying to slow down, I think, to avoid being spotted, but he does get detected and continues to work the guns. You can see the Amalfi's pointed right at him. Now, I want to say that, I'm going to stop this here for just a second. There are a couple of reasons that Dutch Tiger might have done this. And to give more of the benefit, I mean, I've seen Dutch Tiger play, and he is really a good player, and he's a team player. He's taken a lot of heat that might otherwise finish off the Flandre. So there is that. Dutch Tiger still has almost 14,000 HP. It's tough for these battleships, and really even the Amalfi, although the Amalfi is going to be a little bit more accurate, to do serious damage to him as long as he's running and turning and, you know, speeding down, slowing down, speeding up, slowing down. So maybe Flandre can get away and heal up. It's questionable, but I want to take a second here to applaud this move, which might otherwise seem a little bit crazy. You can see incoming shells as Dutch Tiger slows down and turns out, and he does avoid the shot. Now let's hope that our Flandre is able to get a heal going as Dutch Tiger tries to move out of range. And in the meantime, hey, maybe we get a fire start on the Massachusetts. Here's hoping. Just a little bit of chip damage, 281, 281. That's next to nothing. Nice torpedo strike. And Dutch Tiger goes to work immediately, presumably because he's thinking maybe those torpedoes started a flood, maybe the North Carolina used its damage control, and if I start a fire, it's going to burn for a long time, as I was saying a minute ago. Now, meanwhile, Dutch Tiger's team just completely folded on the other side. Harbin finishes off the Massachusetts, but the Massachusetts returns the favor. So the good guys are down 6 ships right now. The bad guys are only down 4, and it looks like this 2-to-1, 2 cap to 1 advantage is about to evaporate as the Cherbourg and Bismarck move into the Bravo cap. The Lightning's the only thing over there, and it looks like he's been doing a pretty good job as far as staying alive, but if he turns nose into these guys right now, it's almost certain that he's going to get sunk. Now, it looks like the Lightning is turning out, if we're looking at the minimap, but he still might get blapped. Cherbourg's guns are pretty nasty, and the secondaries on the Bismarck are almost impossible to avoid entirely unless the Lightning is smoked up, because he's really close. North Carolina bobbing and weaving, trying to avoid shots. And Akazuki looks like he's moving in position to get his guns going. Why he's not already firing is, it's questionable. But there might be torpedoes on the way, so got to be aware of that as well. And I think Dutch Tiger's probably looking for an opportunity to throw his own torpedoes out. But with 450, 250, okay, North Carolina goes down, Flandre finishes him off. And going back to what I was saying just a minute ago, the decision by Dutch Tiger to roll out this way and keep the guns hot, taking a lot of fire, that might be the reason this Flandre is still in the game and why it was able to burn down the North Carolina. So again, my hat is off to you, Dutch Tiger. That was a ballsy move, and it really paid off. Now, it's not often that you're going to see an Öland outgun an Akazuki, but this Akazuki seems to be solely focused on the salmon. And Dutch Tiger is doing some nice damage, keeping those guns right on target. And smoking up may not have been a really good idea. Now, granted, Akazuki was taking fire from Dutch Tiger and also from the Flandre, presumably. Ooh, the Lightning is sunk. There are the torps on the Akazuki. But right now, this is looking really dire. Flandre's just got a handful of HP left. Salmon's pretty beat up. The Pobeda and our hero here are the only ones with any significant HP, but the bad guys are pretty beat up too. So let's hope that Dutch Tiger can, against all the odds, finish off this Akazuki and start moving into the cap. All right, Akazuki's broadside gets off a decent volley. I think Dutch Tiger's got this one in the bag here, and he does. And he's got smoke to run into. Amalfi on the other side of the island. And I think we're probably going to see a torpedo strike here. The torpedoes are ready. Yep, he's getting them out. Amalfi, if he plays this smart, he'll probably slow down. It's like a friendly torp from the salmon that was intended for the Akazuki. Dutch Tiger's probably going to run around the north end of the island here and just try to keep himself out of sight. Could probably safely repair damage control here. But maybe he's going to just run it out. No, there's the damage control. And he finishes off the Amalfi with the torpedo strike. Nicely done. And that evens up the ship count. It's 4-4, but Flandre is in big trouble. Bismarck still has about half his HP. Kid's still looking pretty good. Yeah, this is going to be an uphill slog. And the Graf Zeppelin, he's sunk 2 ships. Pobeda, well, he hasn't had the same luck, which isn't to say that he hasn't been doing a lot of damage, because maybe he has. But It's going to take a pretty heroic effort from the Pobeda to help turn this around, but he's almost out of HP. I'm sure the kid is probably just running and gunning right now. And Bismarck finishes off the Pobeda. Maybe kid was just, well, he's got aircraft over him, man. There's no reason he wouldn't have been firing. So it's 4-3 in terms of ships right now. The good guys are down on points by roughly 117, something like that. And our hero's trying to secure a cap to slow down the difference in points. Now, this is not an easy task. So I think what Dutch Tiger's probably looking at here, and he can correct me in the comments below, but I think he's probably looking at the opportunity to get torpedoes on the Bismarck. He's got the range. And we have to hope that the Salmon will run north, I think. If the Salmon keeps moving west, he's almost certainly going to get killed. Because he's going to have Kid probably converging on that same location. And you can see the CV is now looking for Dutch Tiger. And it's a question of, can Dutch Tiger stay out of sight and not get hit in the next 7 seconds? Bismarck is reversing, which might bait the Salmon into just continuing to head straight at him. And the CV has missed Dutch Tiger entirely and thinking maybe he's at the north end of the cap. Now Dutch Tiger's headed for the Bravo cap, and the CV is almost certainly going to be wise to that and find him here in the next 5 seconds or so. And Dutch Tiger's AA is going to probably go to work here as he angles to avoid damage from the Bismarck. Slowing down, just trying to avoid the fire from the Bismarck secondaries. And those torpedoes look great. I think that Bismarck is in trouble.
Problem solved, sir.
As Dutch Tiger gets back to heading toward the Bravo cap and finishes off the Bismarck. Now, if you're keeping track, ladies and gentlemen, that's 97,000 damage, 10 torpedo hits with 5 floods, 2 caps, 3 kills, and Salmon, well, Salmon just kept heading straight at him. I question the decision, but, you know, what are you going to do? Angling to avoid damage here. Torpedoes are back up. And you can see he's just eating these aircraft like Pez candies. Can he finish this last one off? There we go. All right, so he's no longer visible. Will the Graf Zeppelin continue to move in a straight line? If he does, he's in big trouble. And angling up, trying to stay in the cap. And now has to avoid a torpedo strike. And it doesn't look like it's going to be too tough to do that. Just have to avoid fire from the kid who was expecting him to keep moving. Oh, that was close. Cherbourg shells fall on the outside. And our hero uses the island to come to an abrupt stop and now trying to angle against the next torpedo strike. And can he swing the nose around in time? Whoa, that was close. Oh, the Graf Zeppelin goes down. This is a really solid game. Dodging torpedoes like a boss. Finishes off the last of the aircraft, and that's going to make it easier for him to stay out of sight as he begins to heal up some HP. And against all the odds, Dutch Tiger has kept his team in this game with now 4 kills. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I think time is going to be the limiting factor here. Torps are back up. Our hero's going to lock down this cap, and he's going to run for the alpha cap, I think. Cherbourg trying not to eat a face full of torpedoes. He's seen what's been happening, I'm sure. And the almost inevitable criticism of each other on the other team really starting to pour on. Guns just behind the kid. I think I might have thrown torpedoes there just in an effort to finish him off, but the guns were ready, so we stuck with those. Judgment call either way. This is tough. With only a minute and 11 seconds left, he doesn't really have much choice but to pursue the kid and try to finish him off with the guns and maybe get the torpedo strike on Cherbourg. The kid's guns are strong. He's only got 7,311 HP. And he's probably going to lose at least half of that in this gunfight. Cherbourg's going to be on the other side of the island. And we just have to hope
Engine boost deactivate.
that our hero can finish off the kid and run straight out ahead of the Cherbourg and get those torpedoes away. If he goes behind the island, he's not going to have the shot. Picks up the Confederate. Taking some damage from the kid, but really, really smashing the kid right now with guns. Got a blind fire for this, and he does. Picks up a Kraken. One heck of a game. It's in 125,000 damage and just enough time to get the torpedo. It looks like he's turning out, which, now granted, with 1,785 HP, probably Cherbourg would finish him with guns, but I think maybe the only chance, and he probably was aware, the only chance was to rush out there, hope to survive the initial shot and get torpedoes away. But with 5 seconds left, what, maybe 8 or 9 seconds at the time he decided to go out rather than turn in. Chances of winning this game were still extremely small because Cherbourg's guns, or even secondaries, might have finished him. But I wanted to pause the game here just to say Dutch Tiger, fantastic game. 6 floods on 13 torpedo hits, 3 solo caps, 4 detections, 5 incapacitations, 118 shots on target for 5 kills, 15 aircraft shot down, and 4 cap defenses with a slew of awards. Really well played, brother. Those of you joining me, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.